Senator Hirono.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to our panel. I am delighted to see each of you because you represent the kind of diversity of background and experience that I think is good for our courts. I asked the following two questions of all nominees before any of the committees that I sit on. I'm sure you've been apprised of that fact, so I'm going to ask the panel as a panel the following two preliminary questions. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature? Just go down the line.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Thank you.
No, Senator.
Thank you. Have you ever faced discipline and entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Well, I must say that it's always, or often, I would say, fun to listen to Senator Kennedy and his questioning. And, I've learned that there's hardly anything about the law that is basic unless maybe that Brown versus Board of Education was correctly decided. I think that is pretty basic. And as for the questioning relating to racial discrimination, I'd say racial discrimination is wrong, but often the argument becomes whether a certain practice or law is racially discriminatory. I think that's where the argument lies. So the line of questioning from the previous senator, it's like, wow, hey, makes me scratch my head. Okay, so going on, Judge Kato, when did you learn in class that Japanese Americans were interned during World War II based on their race? In class?
Senator, if I did learn it in class, and it's hard for me to distinguish, it was probably not until college at UCLA.
Isn't that amazing?
It's disheartening for sure.
Yes, and I'd like to ask the other two panelists, nominees, when did you learn in class about the internment of Japanese Americans in World War II?
I don't believe that I learned of it in class until I was at the University of Michigan.
Judge Sykes?
Senator, I believe that I first learned about that during high school, at some point during my high school career, probably my junior or senior year later on in my high school career.
So as we talk about racial discrimination, sitting here, I can tell you that I cannot even recall ever learning in class about the internment of World War II. Judge Sykes, when did you learn, and congratulations, you'll be one of the few Native Americans to ever sit in the federal courts, should you be confirmed. When did you learn that of all of the treaties that our country had entered into with Native American tribes, when did you learn that our country never kept a single one of them? We broke every single one of these treaties. When did you learn that in class?
Senator, I don't believe I ever learned that in class. It was something that was taught to me or brought up to me from my family, from my Native family, and learned through stories and tradition. So formally in class, I was never taught that.
For the other two nominees, when did you learn in school that our country did not keep, we broke every single one of the treaties that we ever entered into with any of the Native American tribes?
I don't recall discussing or learning about Native American treaties at all in my high school education, so it would have been at university.
Judge Kato?
I have the same response as Ms. Rochon. It was not something that I learned in school.
So you were asked whether America, our country, is, I forget, whether we're mostly good. And I think it has to do with the fact that we ascribe to live up to that all people, I'm not going to even say all men are created equal, that all people are created equal and that there should be equal justice under the law. And that is something to live up to. But just from my dialogue with you, it's very clear that our country has a ways to go. And I'm just going to end, Mr. Chairman, my questioning with that note that I'm very glad that we have nominees with the kind of diverse backgrounds that I hope will be brought to bear as you make decisions. Should you be confirmed, and I would be very happy to vote for each of your confirmations. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Hirono. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to each of you. Ms. Rashan, I want to start with you. Your pro bono work that you did with the American Immigration Lawyers Association. You contributed to an amicus brief that supported an argument that mandatory detention of criminal aliens